Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Master Your Life with Kate McKay, a show exclusively dedicated to uncovering the path to excellence through powerful stories of grit and determination. I'm Kate, and I'm so glad you've joined us. And I'm really thrilled to introduce the guest today, Shar Moore. Welcome, Shar.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful that you're here. So a little bit about Shar, and then again, we're going to get right on into it. Shar Moore is a TEDx speaker, a TV talk show host, a multi-international award-winning mentor, international best-selling author, and founder of the Feminessence movement. Wow, that is so beautiful. She is, as I said, the TEDx speaker, and she is also in the new best-selling book. And I'm really looking forward to going in and jumping into your chapter of the book in this time together. So thank you so much for joining me once again, and welcome.
Thanks, Kate. Can't wait to get chatting with you.
So we're calling in on nighttime, my time, and daytime, your time, or morning, your time. You're in Australia.
Yes, we're on the Gold Coast in Australia. So it's a beautiful sunny day today. It's actually winter here, and our winters are normally our best. However, we've got the La Nina, I think it's called, weather pattern. And so the last 6 months, it's pretty much rained, but today is gorgeous. So it's shining on us.
Yay. So we're going to savor that. So if you could just tell me a little bit about your journey into being in this book, this most recent book, just tell us a little bit about that story. And I would love to hear that, how you got involved in this really kind of powerful project.
Absolutely. So I've been blessed to be friends with Rhonda for many, many years. And when she told me about her wild series and her wild concept, and it's literally a movement. And when we were chatting about the wealth book, and it just felt so right. It resonated so much to be part of it, because sometimes people determine wealth by financial means, and that's typically how the media want us to see our wealth. Is how many dollars do you have in the bank, and how many assets do you have? If we liquidated them today, how wealthy would you be? And yes, that is absolutely one element, because without money, we don't have freedom to choose many things. However, I believe that wealth comes in many different shapes and sizes. And for me, wealth is abundance of things. It's health, it's happiness, it's family, it's relationships, it's love for self. It's love for our own innate feminescence. If we don't love ourselves, how can we feel any form of wealth? I know incredibly wealthy people financially that are miserable. And so are they really wealthy when they don't have all of those boxes ticked? So when we started to unpack my story and the title became Freedom to Choose, it came about because of my own childhood story. That was something that...
Yes, I would love you to share that. You grew up, or you were born, and you said in Thailand. And if you don't mind sharing some of that story, I would really love to hear that and share that with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope this helps someone realize that your past doesn't dictate your future. So keep that lens on while you're listening to this story. I'm born in Thailand. I'm Indian, and I grew up in Australia, in the country, from the age of 4. And it was organized by the hierarchy of my family from the age of 11 to 15 and a half, that I be betrothed to a man who was 9 years older, and he lived in another country. So I was that young Indian, dark hair, dark brown eyes, tan skin, going to a Western school with friends that were blue-eyed, freckled, blonde hair. And here I was spouting an engagement ring in my finger, obviously very badly bullied and isolated and told I was the odd one out. But for most of my life, I was told I was just, in air quotes, an Indian girl. And all I was to do was to get married at 16, raise a family, and look after the household. And so my mindset was, that must be all I'm good enough for. And at 15 and a half, my beautiful stepdad, Australian stepfather that raised me, found out about this arrangement. And he asked me, Kate, the most pivotal question of my entire life to date. He sat me down and he asked me, is this what you want?
Mm.
Now, no one had ever asked my opinion because as a good Indian girl, my nickname was Puss because I would just stare with these big, bright eyes with no words coming out of my mouth and sit quietly in the background and do as I was told. And so when he asked me, at first, I didn't believe that I could answer because that wasn't my place. And then he encouraged me to give a truthful answer. And all I could utter after what felt like 1,000 years of tears fell out of my eyes, I could utter the word no. My whole life, literally as a snap of a finger at 15 and a half, I grew up into this woman and realized when he said the words, "I'll take care of it," my whole life just opened up. And it was a little bit like when you come off a diet and you run to the closest sticky donut shop. I felt like I could run into this shop and life was my shop, and I could run out there and choose and do and work and choose a partner maybe that I wanted to marry because I actually wanted to be with them and travel. And literally I chose the right husband. We've been together 31 years now.
Oh
and
my gosh.
and
Isn't
we
that
literally
amazing?
live
The power to choose the right person. So what is that? What were you told at age 11?
Well, I'd been groomed from my whole age. My whole childhood was that Indian girls get married and their husbands are chosen for them, and that's just normal. And so we would spend our holidays in Thailand, and I would go to weddings of young girls, 8, 10, 11. And I thought, oh, that's mine. Okay, what am I going to wear? I wonder what my hair will be like. It was ingroomed in me that was my path. So I didn't think anything different. I guess what started to challenge my perceptions around the reality of that was when I was in my teenage years at school, 11 to 15 and a half. They're quite formative years. And I would watch girlfriends of similar age getting their hair colored, doing this, starting to go on dates, training and doing sports. And I'm like, how come they get to do that? And so I would train to do gymnastics and I was really good. But because I was spoken for and betrothed, I couldn't perform at the performances. And so I would sit in the audience and watch my friends do the performances that we'd all learned, but I wasn't allowed to be seen by other men. I wasn't allowed to be seen. Good girls don't do that. They don't go up on stage and show themselves. It's quite ironic when I look at what I do now.
I mean, isn't it? It's incredible. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So your stepfather didn't know?
It's quite a secret thing. Indian societies there's a lot of shame and guilt and secrecy that happens within Indian communities, not just Indian communities. There's a lot of, European communities that are the same. And you don't buck tradition and you don't upset what's been done for thousands of years. Like, this isn't a new thing. It's something that's done for thousands of years and you just go along with it and follow the path. But I think when my dad opened me up to possibilities, my husband and I live our life like someone left the gate open.
Right.
We're literally,
right.
Literally, it's like the gate's open. There's a world out there. What can we go and do? It's our playground. And so, we've done some exceptional things and we're just getting started.
So where did you guys meet? What was your path to each other?
Well, that was interesting because when I realized that I could choose this, I barely finished year 11. I had this dirty report card that said, because that was the year I was supposed to be getting married. So I was spending a couple of months in Thailand getting ready and getting sorted. And so I missed a lot of my year 11. So I did pass.
Did you meet him though? Sorry to interrupt, but did you meet this man that you were supposed to marry?
Oh, yes, many times. Yeah, yes, many times. Yeah. And so then I moved out of home at 17 and a half and I just started applying for jobs. I thought, well, if someone can, hire me, maybe I'm worth something. And I started working at a plastics packaging company in the country town that I was living in. And my husband now started working on the same day.
Wow.
And we got introduced to each other in a corridor and it was 5 years later. So we built this beautiful friendship over those 5 years. 5 years later, we actually got together and that was it. The rest is history.
Wow, that's amazing. So how was that, the whole idea of calling off the wedding and then breaking tradition? That's such a big deal.
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
imagine. I can't imagine what that was for you. How were you able to manage that and leave those pieces behind, some significant pieces?
It was really challenging, I'll be honest. It caused a lot of shame and upset within the community because, again, it's not something that's done. There's a lot of embarrassment. And I wasn't privy to all the ins and outs of what happened to the family overseas. However, I knew the impact because it had an effect on the relationship within my immediate family. And I just chose that my dad's given me this opportunity. I need to show him that what he's done for me was the right thing, and I'm going to make something of myself in honor of him. And then one day, I'm going to pay forward that beautiful gift he's given me of the freedom to choose my life. And years later, we actually did do that.
So beautiful. So you have boys. You have sons. I know you have a daughter too, but how has that been for you being brought up in that very traditional Indian culture and then raising boys?
Yeah, look, it's been beautiful. My boys are a blessing. In fact, it's one of their birthdays today as we record this. My boys they're my best friends. And I think growing up the way I did, and my husband is Australian, so they're half Australian, half Indian. They've been brought up in Western countries. We've traveled the world for 8 years living abroad, and they are just so worldly. They're such heart-centered, soulful, spirited gentlemen is the best way to describe them. And look, they're boys. They mess up, they push boundaries. I think all boys are going to do that. They're so chalk and cheese as well as boys. They're so different.
You have to explain that expression because I've interviewed someone else. Chalk and cheese. What does that mean?
Okay. Well, chalk is so different to cheese, right? Cheese is melty and gooey, and chalk is so powdery and hard. And well, what do you say? What's your version of comparison?
It's like I'm trying to think of like milk and it's like vinegar, oil and vinegar, and water.
Okay.
Right. So chalk and cheese, that's an Australian word. It's like, wait a minute, what did you just say? I'm always like, I'm picturing chalk, and then I must have like a question mark above my head because I'm just trying to, but now I get it. So thank you for giving me the description of eating chalk and eating cheese.
It's so different.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. So you also made the decision, you and your husband, to adopt an Indian girl.
Yes, I know. It was something that after I had my second son, I was told, because I had postnatal depression with both of my boys, but quite badly with my second son. And so the doctor said something to me that I don't think anyone will ever say to me again, is you can't have another child. And because of my childhood, and I know how many girls out there in India are desperate for a better life and a freedom to choose their destiny. When he said you can't have another child, I then went on a mission to find a way to bring a daughter into my life because I knew I was going to have one. I already had a name. We saw her. My husband was so on board with this vision as well. And we both went on a mission. So we'd been living in Thailand for 2 years at the time, and we got the phone call. And there was about 8 women who had agreed that if there was a daughter born, that they would give her up for adoption. Because sadly, in that culture, in many cultures, when a girl is born, they are seen as a liability, not an asset. Because boys are the asset. They're the ones that provide. They bring the family together. They earn an income. They're the hero. They go out there and provide for the entire family. And girls, there is a dowry that is to be paid, and the wedding and the dowry that goes with a wedding. So it becomes an expense. So it's a liability to have a daughter. And so there were 8 women who had said, if I have a daughter, we'll give her for adoption. And so our daughter was born. And 4 days later, I told everyone, Kate, it was a Sunday night. And I remember it as clear as bells. It was a Sunday night. And I told everyone, she's here. And everyone said, no, 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 she's not here, because they'd call us. I said, she's here.
My
And on
gosh.
Monday, all day, Kate, I said, she's here. Tuesday, I said the same. Wednesday, I said the same. Thursday, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a phone call. She's here. And she was born Sunday night.
You could feel your baby coming into the world.
I knew she was
You knew.
energetically mine. I knew she came through another womb, but she was mine. She was destined for me. We are so soulfully. We've been connected 17 lifetimes. We've had someone do our charts. We've had 17 lifetimes together, her soul and I. And I knew it's just been this. She's 18 now. It's so amazing to think that I don't have children anymore. I have adults. But yeah,
Still
it's
your
been
baby.
amazing. She completed us.
Wow, it's
She
so
completed our
beautiful.
puzzle.
That's so gorgeous. That's such a powerful story. And for all of those viewers and listeners, I mean, the truth is that we know oftentimes before anyone else knows. We know, our soul knows. And so can you talk about that, how significant that is in the work that you do, in all that you do, because it is so extensive, the work and how you serve. And I just want to say right off the get-go, thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Oh, look, I feel so blessed. I feel like I do wake up every day and need to pinch myself, not only because I'm so wealthy in the sense of my family adore me. I'm the mum that I wish I had. I am that to my children. We are all such close friends, and I'm so blessed to have girlfriends that are like sisters to me, including Rhonda. Actually, Rhonda and I have this bond. We've never physically hugged, but energetically we've been connected lifetimes, and we both know that. I feel so blessed to have amazing people in my life, and I guess what it taps into for me, the movement we've created, which is called Feminessence. Feminessence is all about guiding women back into their innate feminine essence. Many women around the world have given their power away too far into the masculine, or they've given their power away to a boss or a partner or a parent or a child. And when we give our power so much to others, there isn't enough for ourselves. And it's like they say, when you travel, please put your oxygen mask on first before you help anyone else. Life is the same. And so when we help women guide themselves back into their feminescence, it's like we ignite, we unlock, we embrace, we illuminate.
Are you ready to claim your inner badass? Pick up my copy of my best-selling book, Claim Your Inner Badass, How to Live with Courage and Unleash Your Personal Power. Available now on Amazon.
If you think back to the days of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor, what was their power when they graced themselves into a room? They just stood there looking as gorgeous as they were in their own power. That was their strength, right? And so what we're trying to do is bring women back to that, bring them back to themselves. And so we have international magazines, digital magazines, print magazines, we have books, we're running retreats, we're bringing women into a space where they can peek through the eyes of a feminescent sister, reading their story, doing their activities that we have in all of our products, so that they too can find themselves. That's essentially what we're doing.
Yeah, it's so, and I love it that you used, when we first chatted, just that you felt as though you were conduit in the work. What does that mean for you, that word?
I truly feel like I've been blessed. Like, the movement came to me at 3 o'clock in the morning. We went through the pandemic like everyone else, and we had a lot of challenges in our personal life at the time. And I had another publication at the time that had ran for 9 years. And I was woken, literally, Kate, I felt like someone woke me. And I sat up and I turned the light on. And my husband knows me well enough now to just be awake and listen. It's a download. And it's
good husband.
It's coming fast, baby. Just hang on. And so I just I felt like I was channeling all these words, and I was just flying out of my mouth. And I said to him, and I was crying, and I said, I just need to help women reconnect into their feminine essence. But because, Kate, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I didn't have my speaker voice on, and I said, Feminessence.
Feminessence.
I blended the words together, and he stopped me and he said, "Oh, I really like that word." And I said, "What word?" Because I didn't hear it. And he stopped as he repeated it back to me. It was the first time I heard it. And he said, "Feminescence." And I said, oh, and I'm covered in chills again. Like it's still, and I felt like I was gifted this movement. And I woke up at 9 o'clock that morning. I emailed my lawyer and I said, "Trademark this word. It's been gifted to me. I'm going to do magazines. I'm going to do books. I'm going to do retreats. I'm going to do apparel. I'm going to do makeup. I'm going to do whatever the world takes me with it, because we need to guide women back to self." Domestic violence around the world is on the rise. And a huge part of that, according to an expert I spoke to, is that women gave their power too much away to someone else. So then they had the power to use back on them. So if we can stand back in our strength in life, in business, in our relationships, and say the most powerful word that we can say sometimes is no. We don't need to be people pleasers. And as women, we innately want to help and serve. And sometimes the power is actually in saying no. My dance card is really full right now, I say. Thank you for the opportunity. However, at the moment, I need to say no.
Right.
And I wish you all the luck.
Yeah. You know what? I had this conversation. So I started lifting weights like in the 80s. It was just my thing. It just was grounding me. So it was a very male environment. But I always felt my whole life in a gym, I always felt the sacred feminine energy of me in a gym more than any other places. It became my sacred haven. I felt very safe in that environment. And it's just, it's very interesting to me that it is the place where I'm most calm, because you know why? I felt protected. And it put me in that position of allowing to be safe and protected in a world that I didn't feel safe and protected. So part of the thing that I always talk, and I also compete in bikini competitions, you know, the spiky heels and, you know, crazy, but it's celebrating the feminine, because I believe that we're the lucky ones. You know why? Because we're built to receive. We are here to receive. Lucky us. Lucky us. And the fact that we're feeling compelled to give, that's not honoring the feminine. It's not. And I love your story so much, because you have been placed with very strong men that wanted to protect your feminine essence. Your husband, your father, your children, your sons honored you as the feminescence. What a beautiful thing. It's not, I am claiming my feminine energy in opposition. Wow.
And it's amazing. Do you know why? Just to add to that, Kate.
Please.
I am so surrounded. I have 2 and nearly 3 grandsons. Right? It continues. I have 2 grandsons, 8 and 4, 8 and 5 rather, and another grandson due in a month. I am surrounded by men supporting me on my journey. It's hilarious.
Well, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So what would you say to the women that you know, that you and I both know, that are suffering in that I can do it, I can continue to give, and I'm going to give until I am empty?
Oh, look, I used to be that woman, Kate, so I can actually speak from experience. And I say what I'm about to say with love, because I've lived it. I would ask you, if that is you and you're listening or watching now, what are you trying to prove? Because in my 20s and half of my 30s, and it's a very challenging question, and it's one I actually asked, it's part of mirror work. And I stood in front of a mirror and I looked deep into my own soul and I asked myself that question far out. It was the most incredible experience I've ever had, and it's very challenging to do. And I take my hat off to you, and I hope that you, if you do this, that you contact Kate or me and tell me what happens, because it will literally change your life. But you ask yourself, what are you trying to prove? And when I answered honestly, which took a while because I was flooding with tears, I was still trying to prove to whoever, and I don't even know, family, Indian history, I don't know, that I was not just an Indian girl, right? And so I had to stand there and say, I don't need to prove I'm a good mother, because my kids ring me all the time. And when they hang up, they say, I love you, Mum, without prompting. I am already a good mother. I don't need to prove that I'm a good wife. My husband makes me breakfast, brings me flowers, nurtures and loves on me like no other man on the planet. I don't need to prove that I'm a good girlfriend, because my girlfriends call me, hey, I miss you. What are you doing? Are you okay? So I asked myself that question, and when I answered it, I actually don't need to prove anything. And that's when I started to shift and transition into my own feminescence. And we actually talk about this. I have a new TV talk show called The Girlfriend Hour, and I actually talk about this on The Girlfriend Hour, that the conversations we have with ourselves are equally as important as the conversations we have with everyone else in our life. Yet,
or more so.
More so, and we
Yes.
don't talk to ourselves enough.
Oh, you know, one of the practices in high performance coaching, and this is something that I teach the clients, well, it's science, is that oftentimes we hear that expression, would you talk to your best friend in that same way, right? With the self-loathing and self-hatred. And I will actually ask clients to speak out loud to themselves using their name. I say, can you say that? Talk to your third person, you and I together. And it's amazing how much you can love on yourself using that third person. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've done similar work at a workshop, and we have to write a letter to our bestest friend, which is us. Oh. And it can take hours, and people have come back with 12 pages and they're sobbing, and you know, it's profound.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to share all of your links in the show notes, because like you're clearly here at extremely high level. And what I feel from you that's so interesting, Shar, is that you have this huge capacity, like this place that you're holding is so open that it can hold so many people. There's no crowding. There's no fuss. There's no muss. It's a welcoming space. Come in is what your energy says. Come in.
100%. And I actually talk a lot about it. And in fact, Rhonda and I have spoken, and we've actually done a show based on this very topic. I am so much about collaboration, not competition. That's the only C word I love. And so we talk a lot about it on the show. I mean, apart from champagne, chocolate, of course, but collaboration goes up there with it, because there is no competition, people. You know, Kate, you are you, and you are fabulous and exquisite, and I am me. And how can we compete? You don't have my backstory. I don't have your backstory. And I have a saying, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but essentially, if I'm being you and you're being me, who's being me and who's being you? So I often have people say, like when I filmed my first season of my show, which, oh my gosh, we checked this morning and we've just had over 100,000 views in 2 weeks. So I can't wait to ring the team. And I'm like, guess what happened? But we often talk about the fact that when I come off stage off something, people go, oh, you're the next Oprah. And whilst I adore that they see that, I just say to them, thank you, blessed. I'm so honored you've said that. But could I just say, one, Oprah is amazing and she's still here. And two, could I just be the first Shar? I don't want to feel that I need to be Oprah and mimic and do. Can I just be me? Because when I show up 150 million% as Shar, like I have today, I hope that someone out there resonates, because I'm just being me. Like, this is me when I'm with my friends. This is me on my TV show. This is me this is me. I can't change who I am because of the environment. I'm going to show up as me, and people either get me or they go, oh, she's too full on. That's okay too. But I'm just me.
So what is that, the women out there or men out there that are listening, what is it that you want them to know, in particular around worthiness?
I really want you to know that you are here for a reason. And maybe life hasn't given you the breathing space to find that reason. But I truly hope you'll take the time to ask the questions, find a coach, find a mentor, find a spiritual guide, find a book, find a magazine, find a show, find a podcast. Keep looking, because when you find that reason, you will find your worthiness. And then you know what? Who benefits apart from you? The whole entire world. So keep looking.
Keep seeking, keep leaning in. And what would you say to the person listening who is afraid to speak their longing?
I would ask you, what is the worst that could happen? Because sometimes when we bring the elephant into the room, like when I started to share my story, I was incredibly hesitant because I worried about the opinions of others. And they say that the lion doesn't go to sleep at night worrying about the opinion of the sheep, right? And so I would ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? And sometimes when we bring the biggest fear into the room and we actually look at it from the outside, it actually isn't that big. And their opinion of you doesn't matter. It's only your opinion of you that matters.
So amazing. So breathing that in, people who are listening and tuning in, it's from a place of open and reception. There is space and room for all of us to step into that light, into that power, into that sacred space, which is you. Welcome home.
Absolutely. And we want you to be there, because then you will feel so comfortable to be you. And then it's the first time we'll ever get to see you for all you are. So step into it, embrace it, illuminate. This is the series of our books. You know, it's all about those things. It's when we embrace who we are, then we can truly shine. That's where the power takes place.
So true. Well, thank you for being the Feminessence of love and self-acceptance and grace.
Thank you so much.
I'm deeply grateful for this time. And is there anything in parting that you would like to add? Anything? I often ask this question, if there was a billboard. And here I am bringing this up because it's like, you've been on a billboard, right? Or they're billboards for the book. But if you were to, a word or a phrase or something that you want people to know, what would that be?
If I was on a billboard, I would have a statement that said, own your feminescence.
What color would that be?
Oh, it would be like my office, full of pinks and beautiful blush pink and soft apricots and warm yellows and gold and sparkles and diamonds, and it'd have it all.
Oh, it sounds so good. I want to roll in all of that. I want to roll in all of that. In fact, that's
shining.
Yeah, totally. Oh, Shar, thank you so much. And again, audience, I will be sharing all of the ways that you can play, hear, and know Shar Moore. Shar, thank you again for joining us.
Kate, it's been my absolute honor. Thank you so much.
And thank you again for joining us to another episode of Master Your Life. I'm Kate McKay, and until next time, shine, step in the light. The world is waiting for you. Is it time to claim your inner warrior? Please grab my latest copy of my book, Claim Your Inner Warrior, available now on Amazon.